Hello friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop. We've got a different little project this morning. It's rehairing another bow. But before we tear into this, I think there may be a problem, so I wanted to get it on camera and show this before we take it apart in case there is a real problem. Here we go. The problem seems to be in this area here. When I look down in at this direction, I can see that the end of this, I guess it's ivory or plastic. I'm not really sure what this is made out of, to be honest with you. But anyway, the whole end seems to be wiggling, which makes me think this might be broke or cracked across here. So we're going to be as careful as we can trying to get this apart. I have a feeling it's going to be a real issue. Oftentimes with a little finagling you can just wiggle this and pull it right off. But because I think this whole end might be a problem, I'm really a little bit leery to do that. Yeah, I think I see a crack in it on this back side here, or maybe. I'm not really sure. It's really hard to tell. So in this particular case, I'm going to see if I can dig this little piece of wood, this wedge, out of here. Sometimes you can, sometimes they just don't want to. It almost looks like somebody glued it in, to me, to be honest. That's what it looks like. It looks like it's been glued in with hide glue. And if that's the case, it probably isn't coming out of there. They shouldn't ever be glued in, but there looks like there's glue residue right across there, so that makes me think it's been glued in. They may have glued it in because this end is cracked or something. I don't know. If this is cracked and broken, I don't really know how I'm going to fix it. I'm not a bow expert. I've probably rehaired maybe 24 bows this year or something like that, if that many. I don't know if I've done that many, but quite a few. It's just not my main business. It's coming. Got lucky. Got her pried out of there. That's the little wedge that goes in there. It does have glue on it though. It does look like it's got hide glue on it. I think you can maybe even see it there. You know, that really shouldn't be glued in there. Maybe now we'll get lucky and this will just come right off. It did. But I was right. That was broken. And it did come out. This piece here is broken. And that is not a good thing. We'll see what we can do to fix this, but I already think our odds are against us on this thing. Okay, so now we should be able to slide this little piece out. This little cover slides right out. And then the hair should lift up, and then there's another little wedge of wood down inside there that you have to get out. That may be glued in too. A lot of people glue them in. They shouldn't be glued in. They should just be pressed in. The reason I say it may be because it kind of looks like glue residue again. Working around the edges of it, trying to pry it loose with my little X-Acto knife here. And I think I see a little movement, so we might get lucky. Maybe got lucky, maybe. Yep, got it out of there. Okay, a little piece of wood, you can't really see it very well, but that's what it looks like, just a little tiny piece of wood that was jammed down in there. Okay, and then that's what the end of the hair looks like, that's jammed down in there. And then that's what the piece looks like. And now you can see pretty clearly how this piece here is broken off here. Boy, wish that wasn't broke off. I think the first thing I'm going to do is take some super glue and try to glue that back. Maybe we'll just get lucky and the super glue will hold it at least well enough to get it put back together. Okay, we've got a situation here where you need 3 hands, and so I've got the frog itself clamped up in my vise. I've got leather on both sides of it to protect it, and instead of using any kind of an applicator or anything, I'm going to use a toothpick to just get a little bit of glue, this super glue on here, and spread it around real thin. I can spread it thinner with this than I can with any kind of applicator. Everything wants to run and flow really heavily with applicators. So this is an amazingly way, just the best way I've found to put a real thin film of glue, super glue on here. Then we're going to try to line this up, which is never easy on something like this, but it looks like it went right in place. Will it stay is the question. Well, it's gotta be a pain. I may have to just get the accelerator out. I'm just going to let it sit there by itself for a little while and see what that does. You probably can't see it very well. Let's zoom in just a little bit there. And it does appear to be lined up really well. The super glue is pretty strong stuff, so I'm just going to let it sit there and do its thing for, I'm going to give it 30-40 minutes at least. While the frog repair is drying, I'm going to see how lucky we'll get here and see if we can get this last wedge out without breaking it or tearing it up. It's handy to get them out. Often you can reuse them and you don't have to make new ones. But, I mean, you know, it just depends how easy they come out. If they come out fairly easily, then you can reuse them. If not, you tear them up too bad. This one definitely looks glued in. You have to be careful, too, on taking these things out. You got to be very careful about prying because you can actually break something. These things are very delicate, so you don't do a lot of prying. You just try to just little tiny lifts. If you get in there and really torque on it, you're going to break something. Just kind of work around it a lot and hope that all of a sudden you'll see a little movement. And I can tell you right now, so far, nothing. Pretty sure they glued this one in. I may just have to take a Dremel tool and just cut it out of there. I'm pretty sure it's glued in. It just doesn't feel like there's any give anywhere. Yeah, it's glued in. I'm just going to cut it out of there. There's no point in spending a lot of extra time on it. Well, I took a Dremel tool and worked in there a little bit. I've got a pretty good gouge in it. I'm going to see if it'll just pop out of there now. You know, I don't want to damage anything. I'm just trying to weaken it up enough that I can cut it out of there. It appears to be a little mahogany plug, which is very common. It's a hard piece of whatever it is. I don't know if the glue maybe saturated it and made it harder or what, but it's a pretty hard piece of soft wood, if that makes any sense to you. Well, at least I'm broke through, and I'll just have to cut it out of there. It's definitely glued in because it doesn't move at all, even after being broke into pieces like this. There we go. We're starting to get it out of there now. The hair's out, but there's still a lot of residue of wood here, so I'm just going to scrape it off the sides and clean up the sides here. It's not looking too bad now. That's what it looks like in there. Yeah, it for sure was glued in. There's no question about that. I have had to glue a few in over the years, but I try not to. There's just some that are cut different and better than others, and you know, the wedge works better is all I can tell you. And sometimes wedge just doesn't work all that well. I am not a bow expert, so you don't have to send me hate mail and tell me how bad a job I'm doing, because I do the best I can. Never had any training in it. I just work on them. I've done, I don't know, in the low hundreds over the years. I haven't done that many, but I've done quite a few this year. That looks pretty good now. It's in pretty clean, good shape. Don't see any real problems with it up there or anything, so we should be able to put it back together.
Weathered and worn, with the hinges all rusted and the fabric all torn, but still cradled inside was one old precious thing. It was Grandpa's old fiddle, oh how sweetly it rings. Grandpa's old fiddle played sweet melodies. He played it from his heart for my grandpa and me. Wrinkled old hands, he held it with love, and and I can still hear it playing up in heaven above. The most honest man that I ever have seen, and his time on this old earth was most precious to me. He lived on Current River at the mouth of Blue Springs, and at night the hills echoed as the old fiddle would ring. Grandpa's old fiddle played sweet melodies. He played it from his heart for my grandma and me. Wrinkled old hands, he held it with love, and I can still hear it playing up in heaven above. Just a boy at the time, I remember a day when Grandpa and that old fiddle some old tunes he did play. Well, now Grandpa, he has left us for heaven above, but he left me that old fiddle, and now I play it with love. Grandpa's old fiddle played sweet melodies. He played it from his heart for my grandma and me. Wrinkled old hands, he held it with love, and I can still hear it playing up in heaven above. The old fiddle is ringing up in heaven above.
Well, you can see that the bow has been rehaired. It looks real good. It's just about as good as it can be. You know, that piece there seems to be holding that we glued, so it's all solid. So I think everything's up in good shape on it now. Thanks for watching.